meh. What's going on, guys? It's Rin, and today we're going to be doing a ban list video. This is my, 6th attempt doing this ban list video, because the first time people were coming in, the second time people come to my house, the third time I had errors in the recording, fourth time, and I've just gone to upload it, and the audio corrupted after I waited about 4 hours for the fucker to render, so I'm not a very happy person right now. But I'll be very happy if I got this ban list spot on perfect. So let's get into the ban list. Starting off with this first card, probably the most unlikely card out of all of the cards I'm going to mention, is Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. I think this card could go to 2. The card was clearly banned for Dragon Rulers. The card was clearly limited from 1 because Dragon Rulers was such a good asset to any deck. Dragon Rulers ruled, basically. They run the show pretty much everywhere, and this card was dropped to 1 because it was such a simple out. It was such an easy way to bring back another dragon. Now, the reason I don't think that this card will go to 2, even though I have put it at 2, is because of all the new Felgrand support that's coming out, as well as all of the new Blue Eye support that's just come out, and the new Red Eye support, and all of that other shenanigans. This is the least likely, in my opinion, to happen, but just because it's an option, I kind of popped it there as well. Into the next one. Dark Magician of Chaos. This card was hit so hard that it had arse rash for a week. Yes, arse rash is a thing. I'm sorry to say it, I might have just ruined your dreams by saying it, but it is, and it happened. This card got slapped so hard with errata, and because of that, it needs to come back. During the end phase, if this card was normal or special summoned, which means it can be summoned by pendulums, may I add, which brings me to Magician Pendulums, but we'll go into that later. I get to target 1 spell card in my grave and add it to my hand, but I can only use this effect once per turn. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, it banished my opponent monster, and if this card would leave the field, it is banished instead. So not only does this card pretty much get a free spell card from your grave, which, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be searching something like a Regeki, or maybe a reinforcement of the army, something to search with. Maybe you're going to go and search Giant Trunade, Heavy Storms, Appy's Feather Duster, maybe even an Instant Fusion, something like that. Who knows? But this card, it will do no harm at 1. Right now, I feel that the top 3 decks that are going to run this format are going to be Monarchs, are going to be Magicians, and I feel Performer Pal will still be in there. There's been a lot of new builds for it that have done really well. I've just built a new Performer Pal deck, although I did actually beat a Performer Pal deck with a really good Toon deck, which you can check out in the description. A little self-promoting right there, but because this card has been hit so hard with the errata, I think it is time that we come back, and of course, with it being a Dark Magician card, it's kind of a fan favourite as well. Going on to Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. Now, may I add to this card right here, there are 2 things I wanted to add to this. First of all, this card is an easy out into Ignista, which I have this on this virtual, so Ignista. Now, this is an easy way to get Ignista into the grave. I'm going to pop these here and these here, but I'll explain. This card is a really, really easy way to get out Ignista, as well as the fusion card for the Draco Slayer engine. But the reason I say this was banned, and the reason I think this can come back to 2, was because the only time I ever use this card would be to pop the Ariande or to pop Plushfire. Now, of course, Plushfire is banned, and I don't think we'll be seeing Plushfire back anytime soon. But Ariande isn't banned, so I can understand why this card could be at 1. But honestly, Ariande isn't that good. I mean, revealing 3 counter traps is great. But with what I think Solemn Strike will be going down to probably 1, this card isn't really going to be seeing that much play if Solemn Strike goes down to 1, which means really, to be honest, Dracos, they won't be seeing that much play as well. Another card that I want to add to this that will definitely be going down to 1 in my opinion, or maybe 2, is Draco Face Off. This card is just too overpowered right now, and this card I think has to go to 1 or 2 as well. I'm going to pop these up here right by the side of them both. Yeah, this card's got to go to 1 or 2 as well, but I feel nice. This will be just nice for most of Pendulum decks at 2. Same with Dragon, Clash of Dragon, Draco Rival, sorry, or Draco the Dracos. I think this card at 2 or 1 will do well as well, but not ruin the meta like it is at the moment. The next card we're going to be doing is just This is going to be everywhere, guys. You go, after you finish watching this video and you've left a like and commented saying, Screech, this was a brilliant prediction, you go and type in ban list predictions and go and click any of them after Elemental Hero Stratos was banned. And I am telling you, he will be there in the needs to be unbanned section. But for some reason, Konami likes to tickle our arseholes and shove little furry balls of curry bonus up it, going, look at your precious little Stratos, you're not getting him back. But Konami, we will rebel. We will get this fucking Stratos back. Because this card is really good. It is a really, really good card. When this card is normal or special summoned, which means if ever, which I think this would be really nice, Elemental Hero's got some Pendulum support, which we have seen with a bunch of old decks. Some really old decks. Crystal Beast's got support. That's from the same era as Elemental Heroes. They have been support to old cards. Now, if Elemental Heroes got Pendulum support, not only do I think they will be tier 0 and just ruin the meta, but if they had Pendulum support and we could special summon a Stratos to get a free search, or to pop your opponent's spell cards, spell or trap cards, may I add, including their Pendulum scales, this would be tier 0. Like, let's be honest here, guys. I feel if Elemental Heroes had some good Pendulum support, I'm talking maybe like 5 or 6 decent Elemental Hero cards that had Pendulum support, like maybe one that's a search, one that searches a hero, one that maybe searches a hero spell card, because there's quite a lot, one for some draw power, one that gave them a little bit of an attack boost, you know, something along those lines, the Elemental Heroes would take off, especially combined with some of the Mask Hero stuff and stuff like that. They would definitely be tier 0. Next card, Necroface. Now, this wasn't a card I was going to add, but this was actually Asianizer's idea. This card apparently doesn't see that much play at all in anyone's deck, and apparently not many people own this card for a few reasons, actually. One of the reasons is the card is ridiculously expensive. I'm pretty sure this card is one of the most expensive cards in its top rarity form, and you know, us Yu-Gi-Oh players, for some bizarre reason, when you see a nice Necroface in common form, mint condition for 5p, and then go down the list and go, but there's a secret rare version, and it's £90, and then go and purchase 3 copies of the £90 one, and you just leave me baffling, going, you are aware you could have just saved like £200, but it's fine, this version's shiny. Really? Shiny? Really? But that's beyond the point. This card has an effect of when this card is normal summoned, which means it is not, it can't be Pendulum summoned or special summoned, which is, of course, kind of what's the main thing right now, although we are seeing Monarchs and stuff beginning to top, and they have no Pendulum support at all. It shuffles all removed from play cards into their owner's deck, and this card gains 100 attack for each. That isn't even that good. It is good for recycling purposes, and when I use this card in my Zombies deck, and in my Toon deck, and a bunch of other decks I use it in, I only really run 2 anyway, and even if I had options to 3, I don't think I would run 3. I usually run 2 or 1. Now, after re-releasing Stratos, so it is back and we have the ultimate Elemental Hero deck, it's time to nerf it straight away and take Elemental Hero Shadow Mist down and take him to 1. This card is so easy to get out. Not only is it searchable by things like Reinforcement of the Army and Summon a Monk, which I will get into after, the card, when it is special summoned, which is ridiculously easy to special summon, you gain one, you can add 1 hero monster from your deck. Oh, sorry, you can add 1 quick play change card from your deck to your hand, and then when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a hero. Now, cards that have 2 effects need to be nerfed. Even though that there are cards at the moment that don't even affect the meta, that have 4 or 5 effects. But this card, on the other hand, has 2 solid effects. Not only does it make it a really consistent card, it is pretty much a Danklaw. Getting this card on the field is pretty much just Danklaw right there, because you always see, no matter what you play, whenever you see Elemental Hero Shadow Mist special summon to the field, I guarantee within the next 30 to 40 seconds, Elemental Hero Shadow Mist is in the graveyard, Elemental Hero Masked Hero Darklaw is on the field, and Elemental Hero Blazeman or maybe Bubble Man, with a few exceptions, is in their hand. And you will see this pretty much every time you play this deck. It's too consistent, and that is what we need to get rid of it, basically. We need to just drop it to 1, as it's too consistent. You can get out 2 or 3 of these in one turn, 3 Dark Laws, as well as having 3 like Blazemans in your hand, ready to go off at the next turn. It's just too overpowered. Even though Elemental Heroes aren't topping, a lot of people still have Dark Laws in their extra deck, even when they're not using heroes. I used to use Dark Law in my extra deck with zombies and stuff like that, because it is really good. It can lock down your opponent really, really quickly. Next, Summon a Monk. This card is at 2, and I feel it will not do any harm putting this card to 3. Having to discard 1 spell card is pretty hefty when you consider that not a lot of decks are running spell cards, except Pendulums, but you can't discard a Pendulum card for this. You have to discard an actual, green, bluey spell card. And a lot of decks don't run that many spell cards they want to get rid of. You don't want to be ditching instant fusions and reinforcement of the armies and Regekis just for the sake of a free summon. And I don't think this deck card will do any harm at 3, and I don't think people will even use it at 3, whether it was at 3 or 1 or 0 or 5. I don't think anybody else will be running probably more than 2 copies of this card. I know I won't, that's for sure. And I do use this card in 1 or 2 decks. Toons I use it in, and there's a few other cards. But honestly, meh. Next card is Rescue Card. I think this card could come from off the ban list to a 1. When this card is faced on the field, I can send it to the graveyard and special summon 2 level 3 beast type monsters from my deck. Now, there was some weird loot with this, but I'm not too sure what it is. And I can't see this little kitten doing any harm at all. It's pretty much just a free rank 3 play. I think this was a part of the wind-up loop. I'm not too sure. I might be wrong, and I might have just made myself look like a bigger ass than I am. But oh well, I try to do that on a minimal basis, because, it's not good for your reputation making yourself look like an arsehole all the time. But hey, it still happens. Next card, Mathematician, the guy with the beard of Jesus. Oh, the beard of Jesus. Look at it. It's got a fucking little it's got a little ribbon and everything. It just looks like an absolute swagmaster. When this card is normal summoned, which again means it cannot be pendulum summoned for its effect, I get to send 1 level 4 or lower monster from my deck to the graveyard. That is a fantastic effect. Stacking up your graveyard for later turns is just brilliant. Making sure you get Mizukis in there for your zombies. Making sure you get your cards in there for Shaddolls. You can get like Beast. Oh no, he's at level 5, sorry. You can get like Hedgehogs and stuff to recycle stuff. It doesn't matter what deck it's in. If you use the graveyard, you're probably going to be using a Mathematician. But I don't think this card will do much harm at 2. I don't know, I could be wrong on that. And its other effect is pretty good too. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, I can draw a card. A lot of times things get destroyed by card effects, and with 3 copies of Veiler floating about everywhere, and 3 copies of Maxis, and 3 Solemn Strikes, you could put any card to 3. If it can be destroyed by card effects, I don't think it's going to affect the meta right now. This one is going to hurt. This one's going to hurt a lot of players, especially if you've just gone and bought the new structure deck. I'm talking Eidos, the Neverworld Knight, and Idea, the Heaven Knight. This needs to stop. This free Monarch play, it just needs to stop. All you need is an Idea in your hand. When this card is normal summon, you special summon Eidos, and Eidos' effect allows you to pretty much, it pretty much allows you to get another summon, from it's just a free summon basically, which then just allows you to go into any of the big monarchs, and it just needs to stop because these things are running rabid everywhere right now. Even though that they're fairly new, I just think they're just too overpowered and they need to go. One card we did just bypass is Cyberstein. This card is, I believe, I'm not 200% sure. I'm not 200. I'm not 500. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure this is at 3 in the OCG. So I'm pretty sure putting it at 1 isn't going to do any harm at all. Now I know there was a lot of loops with this. You could do pretty much anything, and it was a really overpowered card. Paying 5,000 life points for 1 fusion monster is pretty steep. And not to mention, if you then go ahead and summon your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, or your anything, Thousand Eyes Restrict, any of the fusion cards, Shaddoll fusion card, anything, any of them, and that gets Solemn Striked, that's a pretty hefty life point to pay. And Solemn Strike is everywhere right now. Every decks are running Solemn Strikes, and they're all over the place. And that's another card that we will be talking about later. But honestly, Cyberstein, I don't think will do any harm at all at 1. I don't even think it will do any harm at 3, although I think people will only be playing 1 anyway. This card, Mermail Abyss Megalo. This card needs to go, because this card is running rabid, not just in Mermails. When you see the name Mermail, you think, yes, it's a card that is good, fair enough. There's a lot of cards that are really good, that is generic to a specific archetype. It's generic to Mermails. No. This is generic to any water deck. It is basically a free special summon, and it's a free special summon with 2400 attack and is level 7, which makes it piece of piss to go into things like Big Eye and Draco Sack and all of that. Now, we are kind of beyond the Big Eye Draco Sack hype now. They've both really toned down in price. They were both a really expensive card, and now you can probably get them for, like, I think it's like £15, £20. But, on the other hand, with this card running rabid in Necros, Mermails, Geisha Keys, and any other water deck, this card really does need to go. Not to mention, it also lets me add 1 Abyss spell or trap card from my deck to my hand, and you contribute 1 other face-up attack position water monster, and this card can make a second attack. Like, I can go ahead and summon Water Spirit. Water Spirit. Let's go and have a look at Water Spirit here. Water Spirit. It has 400 attack. I can go ahead and special summon this, normal summon Water Spirit, tribute Water Spirit, and attack twice for 2400. I think it needs to go. That's my opinion, though. You guys leave your opinions in the comments about these cards. Next card, Instant Fusion. This card is running rabid everywhere right now. It's basically a free rank 4. They may as well change the picture to a free rank 4 card and change it to XYZ 1 rank 4 card, but make sure you send Norden to the graveyard. Now, it was a little bit of a hit and miss between what to ban between this and Norden. And if you're not familiar with Norden, maybe you don't keep up with Yu-Gi-Oh! As much anymore, you just like to see some of your old nostalgic cards. Norden is basically a level 4 monster that is searchable and summonable by Instant Fusion here. You pay 1000 life points, special summon 1 level 5 or lower fusion time monster from my deck, but it can't attack and it's destroyed during the end phase. Completely irrelevant. The fact it can't attack, the fact it's destroyed, irrelevant. You're special summoning a level 5 or lower monster. Now this card, I only ever see this card ever really played to summon out Elder Eternity Norden. Its attack and defense, again, irrelevant. When this card is special summoned, which includes being fusion summoned by Instant Fusion, you can target 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its effects are negated. Also banish it when it leaves the field. You pretty much just summon this to get any level 4 you want out and overlay into any rank 4. Or you could then go ahead and Instant Fusion, bring out a level 4, maybe you play like a nice level 2 tuner, maybe you play this in Zombies. I always go back to Zombies because that's the deck I use. You go ahead and Instant Fusion into Norden, bring back Mizuki, place for a zombie, and there you go, you've got your rank 10 right there, your level 10 right there for Beelzus of the Diabolic Dragons, or maybe you're in a different level 10, who knows. Again, you could then do this with another level 4 and play Glow Up Bulb. There you go, you've got Mistworm, something like that. Yeah, the card is pretty overpowered, and either of these cards need to go. I think Norden to 1 would be a better choice. I think Norden to 1 as opposed to Instant Fusion to 2. If I'm honest, Norden to 1, they might both happen, you never know. Would be a better choice if I'm honest, but a lot of people only play 1 of this, so it wouldn't even affect people that hard. Next one is kind of a group of cards that do pretty much the same effect. Harpy's Feather, just destroying all of my opponent's spell or trap cards, including their Pendulum Zones, may I point out this. Heavy Storm, which destroys all spell and trap cards, including mine and his Pendulum Zones, and Giant Trunade, which returns all spell and trap cards on the field to the hand, including, once again, mine and his Pendulum Zones. Now I think one of these 3 cards are coming off the ban list and they're going to be put to 1. Which one do I want? Harpy's Feather Duster. Which one do I least want? Heavy Storm. Which one are we most likely to get? A Giant Trunade. And I'll explain my reasonings why after. Heavy Storm is just too overpowered right now. I feel destroying all of the Pendulum Scales on the field would be a little bit too overpowered and would kind of backfire as well as gaining. Harpy's Feather Duster would be just destroying my opponents. That's just ridiculous. And as much as I would love to just continuously pop my opponent's scales, it's not going to happen. Because like I said earlier on in the video, Konami like to tickle our assholes with a little ball of fur. And I'm not talking about Karibo, I'm just talking about a general ball of fur. Stop fantasizing about getting your ass tickled by Karibo, guys. Just no. So why do I think out of the 3 Giant True Nade's going to happen? Because I think this card can benefit and hurt Pendulum cards. Having the ability to pop all of your Pendulum scales back to your hand is pretty good. I can play this, and you can say goodbye to all of your Pendulum scales and those Solemn strikes you set last turn. But you got to look at it this way, okay? And what if I'm playing Pepe's, okay? I go ahead, I play my monkey board, I get my free search. I then go, I don't know, let's say I search Sorcerer. I then go ahead and play Sorcerer and Pendulum up into a bunch of cards, yeah? I then go into my usual plays, you know, I go into my XYZ plays, I go into Ignista and all that, and I just lock down the field like you would just playing any casual Performer Pal Pepe deck. Okay? I then go and play Giant True Nade. That means next turn, all of that I can do again. Which we can't do now. Monkey Board's at 1, and Sorcerer's been errated. Not that hard. Skullcrabat Joker's also at 1. Skullcrabat. We'll find it. We'll find it. We'll find it. We'll find it. I'm telling you. There you go. Skullcrabat Joker's at 1, and Monkey Board are both at 1. Now knowing that if we got Giant True Nade off here, that's basically putting them at 2, because you just pretty much play these in your Pendulum Zones or whatever you want to do. You then play Giant True Nade and bring them back to your hand, and you can then go ahead and play this again the next turn to get their searches again, you know, to do their effects again. If I feel this card is going to benefit Pendulum players as well as hurt Pendulum players, because of course losing your scales is not good during Pendulum plays. The next card, Reinforcement of the Army. A card I think should go to 2, because it's a good card. It's a searcher for Warriors. Warriors are fairly generic, you know, a lot of people run Warriors here and there. So I think this card definitely going to 2 is going to be a good sign. It's going to help Warrior plays, but with the big Warriors probably coming off the ban list, in my opinion, Idea and Edios coming off, and Shadowmist going down to 1, and probably putting Stratos to 2 or 1, it pretty much rules out all of these big Warriors, if you like. There's still some floating about, you know, that still happen, but I think this card will be helped at 2, and I don't think it's going to hurt the meta too much. Pretty self-explanatory, really. Pendulum Call, kind of going back to the Dark Magician of Chaos. With this, if this come off the ban list, Pendulum Call needs to come off, because having an unlimited amount of searches with Pendulum Call is beginning to piss me off. Now, I'm pretty sure you can special summon this. I'm pretty sure it has the right scales to special summon this right here. I'm seeing 1 and 8 real quick. I'm looking for like a 1 and 9 really, aren't I? Or anything in 9 really. Where's Pendulum? Pendulum. Let's have a look. Magician. Oh, I've got rank 4 searched here. Let's go ahead, 4 search. I'm looking for any scale 9 really. 8, 5, 8, 8, 2, 8. Okay, so this isn't actually special summonable by a Pendulum Zone, I don't think, unless you play something else in them. But anyway, having to discard a card, which 9 times out of 10 is irrelevant or will help you later on, to add 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names from your deck to your hand until the end of my next round life phase, those cards in my Pendulum Zone can't be destroyed. It's pretty much guaranteed a free Pendulum set, pretty much a free Pendulum set of scales that can't be destroyed this turn. Not to mention, I can use it again and again if I open this 3 times in my hand. Opening 3 of these in your opening hand, being able to get 6 Magician Pendulum cards, setting 2 in your Pendulum Zones, which can't be destroyed, and then Pendulum into 4 different Magicians is pretty hard. This has been topping, Magicians have been topping since Pepe was hit, or they've been coming, you know, 2nd or 3rd, and with that, they need to slowly die them down so they don't become the new Pepe, and with that, I think Pendulum Call going down to 2 is your best bet. Now, this is a card that is being used in a lot of decks. Reasoning, I happen to use it in a few of my decks, I believe. I believe I still run it right now in my new Zombies deck that I am running. Here it is, there you go. I'm running 1 copy of Reasoning, and I think 1 copy is fine for the meta. I think 3 copies of this needs to go away, because there are a lot of cards that can be special summoned. Like, let's take this, for instance. Mermail Abyss Megalo. Now, this card can be normal summoned by tributing. If he goes and activates Reasoning, and I don't choose 7, which 9 times out of 10 you don't, you usually choose like 2, 3, or 4, he's got a free Megalo. What if he chose 8? He's got a free Dark Magician of Chaos. You can't have free cards like that getting shit out your arsehole because you activated a goddamn spell card. No! Not allowed! And that's why I think this card should go at 1. Also, any cards that can be summoned, mainly your spells and traps, because 9 times out of 10 you don't want monsters that can't be special summoned, get sent to the graveyard. That is the downside. I have had this card endlessly, especially in my zombies, where, you know, your opponent's gone, I don't know, 3 or something, and you've ended up just, you know, casually going, yeah, that's fine, I'll go ahead, start milling, yeah, Instant Fusion, yeah, Regeki, alright, Foolish, yep, Burial, yep, oh, Stolen Mirror Force, yeah, Compulse, Solemn Strike, yeah, thanks, Solemn Strike again, really, alright, Mirror Force, really, you're beginning to take the piss now, there it is, Armageddon Knight. You know, you've just lost half of your utilities right there, and I can understand why this card has such a big cost. But 9 times out of 10, just going into this card, and then, you know, 9 times out of 10, you'll just end up fucking going 1 card, and you'll have your goddamn Mermail and Megalo out. Mermail Abyss Megalo out. But the card does need to go to 1. Kind of contradicting myself earlier. No, sorry, not contradicting myself earlier. Helping myself earlier. No, I'm not. It's a completely different card than what I thought it was. Rekindling. This was something the stream told me to add, and I generally don't know what to comment on it. Special summon as many fire monsters from your graveyard with 200 defense, and during the end phase, banish all those monsters. Apparently, there was some really good thing you could do with the rekindling that basically just give you endless shooting quasars. Every time you got it, you managed to get all your pieces out, go into your shooting quasar, and then you're just rekindling all your pieces back pretty much, and just continuously use it over and over again. Synchron up formula to level 5 shooting. And I'm not too sure what the stream was talking about, but apparently this card needs to go to 3 or 2. I'm just going to put it at 2 because I don't really know what it was banned for. Golden Sarcophagus. Now this is a card that is really good. I quite like this card. Banish 1 card from my deck, face up, and in 2 turns, I get to add that card to my hand. That's great. It's a free search in 2 turns. Now, can I point out, 2 turns. Go and watch any YCS game, or go and watch any good locals game, like a decent mirror match. Don't start watching, you know, goddamn Karibos versus Ojamas, like not good Ojamas, because there is actually a really good Ojama deck, where, you know, the duel's going to be lasting like 50 turns. Golden Sarcophagus will do absolutely nothing in today's meta at 3. I am telling you, I will ensure you, this card will do nothing at 3. You don't even see this card right now played at 1. So this card is going to do absolutely bog all at 3. The card is too slow for this format, with things like Performer Pals still kind of running the show, being able to, you know, just consistently draw cards, with things like 3-up starts getting thrown in, hand destructions are now seeing a little bit more play, and stuff like that. Having a Golden Sarcophagus at 3, at 2, at 1, at 20, it's not going to do nothing. The card is too slow for this format, and it should come off the ban list for 1, limited I think it is, and it just has to go back to 3. The next 2 cards, maybe we just have a moment in silence to question Konami of why they would ban such a fan favourite card like Monster Reborn and Brain Control. I still have a first edition common version of these that I remember getting from the very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Packs. These cards were so good. They were in the Blue Eyes structure deck that I remember going to my locals and buying. I was a really old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan. I still have the first series on DVD. Where is it? Let me see if I can see it and tell you the name of it. I believe it's called Duelist Identity or something. Where is it? It's on here somewhere. Oh, there it is at the top. Hup. There you go. This is actually volume 10. Episode 28 through 30 is the... this is the one where they go into the Duelist Kingdom. My Valentine is introduced. Yugi has... I think, yeah, Yugi has to play Mai, and Joey has to play the American guy, Bandit Keith. Yeah, it's a really good episode. I remember really watching this. Dual Identity Volume 10, Episode 28, 29, and 30. I still have the old nostalgic seasons and series on DVD. And these two cards, they're not going to affect the meta. I don't see Brain Control being used at all. And well, no, actually, it's a decent card. I could see it being used because people would distribute off it or synchro with it. Or XYZ with it, even. Monster Reborn, again, I can understand. He's targeting either player's graveyard, special summon it. A few decks actually revolve around like things like tunes, revolve around you having a bunch of tunes on the field, but your opponent has to have none, otherwise their effects are completely negated. So if they Monster Reborn any tune, it would kind of get it, but I mean, tunes don't really see much play right now. Both of these cards at one will do fantastic stuff for the meta, and a lot of old school Yu-Gi-Oh fans I feel will come back. Just because you remember these kinds of cards, you know, you remember your Dark Magician, and you remember Karibos and Harpies and stuff like that. It's what got me back into the game, that's for sure. And then learning all this new XYZ and synchroing. A lot of people don't even like XYZs, synchros, and pendulums. They want the old classic Yu-Gi-Oh back with your tribute summons and stuff, which is why I think Monarchs are getting as much hype as they are right now, because it's kind of your classic Yu-Gi-Oh. Anyway, the next card, Wavering Eyes. Okay, Wavering Eyes, this card needs to go to 2 or 0. The reason this card will not go to 1 is because of its 4th effect. It will be irrelevant. If the card is at 1, its 4th effect will not happen no matter what. Its first effect is inflict 500 points of damage for each pendulum zone on the field. You destroy all of your pendulum zones, okay? Which may I first point out is really good. Your second one lets you add 1 pendulum monster from your main deck to your hand, which is what you tend to do with this. You tend to pop your own scales to add a scale, and from there, you know, you use one of the other cards in your hand to reset your scales and go off. With the 2 cards you've just sent, you tend to pendulum them back in the field. Now, if your opponent has scales, it gets a little better, because you can banish 1 card on the field. So not to mention, you've just popped one of their scales, you now get to banish one of their cards on the field, whether that be a spell, a trap, maybe the other scale. No, it wouldn't be the other scale, sorry, a spell or a trap, or a monster, or something along those lines. Now, if your opponent has 4, you both have 2 scales each, you get to add another one of these from your hand, which means you can go and play it again if you really want to. You could go ahead and set your scales, they put their scales, you play this, you inflict 500 points, you get to add your card, you get to add your Wavering Eyes, you banish one of their cards on the field, fine and dandy, you set your scales again, you play Wavering Eyes, and you can pretty much do a continuous loop with 3 of these, and the card is pretty overpowered, and honestly, seeing this at 0 would be so nice, but I don't think they will because it's a fairly new card, which is why I think they'll do it to 2, and they can't do it to 1 because I've just said your 4th effect will become irrelevant. The next card is a card I've started using, and a lot of people seem to think it will go, especially in a bunch of videos I've been watching, a bunch of streams, a bunch of other things. It's Monarch Stormfront. Stormforce, I keep calling it Stormfront, don't know why. Basically, if I was to tribute summon a monster, I can tribute one of my opponent's monsters instead. Now this doesn't see much play, not many people tribute anymore, only really Monarchs tribute, and this is why this card is at 3 and floating about, but it is beginning to piss me off, and it's seen play in a few different decks, and it's just pretty self-explanatory. The only side effect is I cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck this turn. You don't normally anyway. If you're popping your opponent's card to special summon a monster from your hand, you're not going to go into an extra deck play with a special summon monster. That's just my opinion, unless you're pendulum him. You wouldn't go ahead and, let's go with Red Eyes, because he's right there at the top. You wouldn't go ahead and play Stormforth to banish one of their dragons, to summon a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, to go into a rank 10 play. You just don't. Simple as. Next card, and oh wow, I can endlessly see the hate coming, going, this card never needs to come back, it needs to go away, and I should go in a hole, and never leave that hole for mentioning it. But Gateway of the Six. I don't think this card will ruin the meta at 1, people. It's just pretty self-explanatory. Each time a 6 samurai monster is normal or special summoned to my side of the field, I can place 2 counters on this card. I can remove counters from my side, from this card, to activate the effect. 2 counters, I can target 1 phase 6 samurai monster, it gains 500 attack until the end phase. Meh. 4, I can add 1 from my deck to my hand. People like Rotoran already do that, so I don't see why that's an issue. And 6, I can target 1 Sheer effect monster in my graveyard and special summon it. This isn't going to do much. Unless 6 Samurais got Pendulum support, where they're going to be special summoning 5 monsters every turn, this card's not going to do much, having just that 1 extra special summon of a monster that's not really that strong. I mean, 6 Samurais, yeah, they had some decent beat sticks, but No, it's not Cosmo Beatsticks, or Pepe Beatsticks, or even Megalo or Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon kind of Beatsticks. And I think this card at 1 will not really hurt the meta that much. We'll just see some nice 6 Samurai plays here and there, even though I don't really like the deck, but hey hey. The next card is Dragon Ravine, and it's at 2, and it needs to go to 1, and I will tell you why. There is a card that I cannot remember the name of, and I just can't, for the love of God, remember the name of this card, and it is annoying as fuck, because none of the stream could remember the name either, and it is something along the lines of a Break Dragon, or something Dragon, and it's annoying. But basically, its effect is when it is special summoned from the graveyard, it gains some weird effect that just absolutely ruins the meta. And this is really easily summoned with Felgrands and a bunch of other things. And because of that, I think this card needs to go to 1. Because the hardest part of that play, if you'd like, is getting the card in the graveyard. And this card just makes that super easy, because it's just sending it. It just sends it to the graveyard, basically. And from there, you're set, basically. It's just too good. I can't remember the card, though. Is it a good raccoon? No, it's not. I can't remember the card. It's a level 6, or it might be a level 8. I can't remember. Oh, it's really annoying. It'll come to me at the end of this stream. I'm telling you, it will come to me at the end of this stream. Sorry, at the end of the video. That's because I did the... Is there a Felgrand Dragon? There it is! Is it this one? Yeah, this one's a... If it was sent there. Select one monster on the field. Select one monster in your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to the level of that card times 200. Yeah, I think this is it. So basically, this is your bog standard math here, boys. Bog standard maths, okay? So you have a 2800 beat stick. Now, let's be honest here. 2800, it's probably going to get over the majority of things, but not everything. You know. And then it goes and gains an effect of 200 times the level. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be using this in things like Blue Eyes. So you're going to be gaining 200 8 times, basically. So that's 200 right there, times 8. That's 1600. Plus this 2800 that you're going to be gaining anyway, means this guy has 4400 attack. You're going to be sending things like Blue Eyes. You could even send a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. That'll give it an extra 600 attack. You know, that's 5k right there. And this other one, this card is special summon on the graveyard. I can target one monster my opponent controls, or in their graveyard, and I banish it. You can't just banish cards like that. And this card gains attack equal to the banished monster's level or rank, times 100. Again, if you're going ahead and banishing a rank 8, a rank 10, this card's going to gain 800 to 1000 attack right there. That's going to again put this card at 3800, which is ridiculous. And then its third effect, when I can go when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, I can go ahead and target one level 7 or 8 in either player's graveyard, one dragon in either player's graveyard, except this, special summon it to my side of the field. Here you go, have a free Blue Eyes. Here you go, have a free Red Eyes. Here you go, just dick me some more. I'm sorry, this card needs to go, and this card is normally, well, should I say, is easily summoned by cards like Dragon Ravine and Call of the Haunted, but Call of the Haunted, again, is such a nostalgic card, such a generic card, I can't see it going. The next card is, again, a card that has not seen play at all at the moment. It's Compulsory Evacuation Device, and because it's not really seen that much play, I think it can go to 3, and it won't hurt the meta at all, and that's pretty much just how I'm going to leave it on that. The card is not being played. It used to be the card, the go-to card. It used to be quite expensive. Everyone was playing it because it was at 1. Everyone was wishing it was at more, and then we've got these new cards now. We've got Solemn Strike, we've got Bottomless Trap Holes, and because of that, this card has just been sort of brushed under the carpet, kind of like Cosmos. Cosmos are brushed under the carpet because of the Pepe thing, and I think the Dark Destroyer, Dark Eclipse, or Farm Girl needs to go to 1. Probably, I would either say Farm Girl needs to go to 1, or both of these need to go to 1. These are really easy to summon with Farm Girl. Not only does it get the search for it, and then it can special summon it, it's pretty overpowered. Being a level 3 Psychic as well makes the card pretty annoying, because there are so much Psychic support. Things like, what's it called? there's just a bunch of psychic support. Things like, I can't even think of any of the cards now, and it's beginning to piss me off. Curry ones that can be special summoned really easy with the spell card that I can't think of my fucking name of. Yeah, you all know what I mean, guys. I know you do. Just there's so many psychic cards, and psychics revolve a lot around banishing, and there's certain psychic cards that when they're banished, you can target another one, bring it back to the hand. The card is easily recyclable, and it's just so annoying, because this card is basically Dark Destroyer, or this card is basically Eclipser, whichever you feel like it being on that turn. And the Dark Destroyer and Eclipser are both ridiculously strong, and they both have really good effects. So I think these need to go to 1, or Farm Girl needs to go to 1. I've not decided, so I kind of just chucked them all in here. And the final cards is Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment. Now, Solemn Judgment was a really good card, negating a special summon for half of your life points. It's a card you'd love to see late turn when you only had 300 or 400 life points, only paying 200 to stop somebody from special summoning 5 monsters on a Pepe scene. Any day of the week. But if this card is banned and we have 3 Solemn Strikes, something's fishy here. This card at 3, I can understand you can't use this card at certain points in a duel because you might not have enough life points to pay for it. But with cards like Ariande floating about where you just don't pay for them, it's not a problem. So I feel if this card's going to 1, this card should go to 1. If this card's being banned, this card's being banned. If this is staying at 3, this should stay to 3. Just leaving it at that. If we're having 3 strikes, we should have 3 judgments. If this is playing at 1, which I think it should be, this should be at 1. Simples. Next card, Thousand Eyes Restrict. Getting rid of it. Reason why? Because we were discussing this earlier, with it being able to be summoned by instant fusion to pretty much gain a free monster. It was pretty overpowered, and it should probably stay banned, not gonna lie. Exciton Knight, I love this card, and everyone was playing it at 1, so even if it come back at 1, it would just have the same effect of it being at 3. 2 level 4 monsters, it was a piece of piss to summon out. Again, you could just go into this quite easily with Instant Fusion and Norden, but we'll leave that. We've already discussed that. Now, if my opponent has more monsters in his hand or on the field, it destroyed all of the cards. This made Pepe's easy to deal with, because not only do Pepe's get to play a monster, search for 6, and then play a monster and draw 6, and then Pendulum Scale for 5, and then all their effects will kick in, allowing you to search another 10 cards. It was just such a good, easy rank 4 you could go into late game, and it would turn the tides of the duel, and it was fairly fair. Like, not only did your opponent have to have more cards in their hand or on their side of the field, they didn't take any damage, so there was no OTK purposes for this. And it was 1900, it wasn't the strongest card, it was going to get destroyed next turn anyway. Not to mention, it can be Solemn Strike, like every card. It was a fairly fair card, and I wouldn't really know why it was banned, although I do on the other hand. And the final few cards, the last 2 cards, one I'm not even going to talk about, Wind Up Carriers Maid. I'm not too sure why this was banned. I know that there was some weird loop, but I don't know the loop, and I'm not going to make myself sound like an absolute arse. And the last and final card I'm going to talk about, Lavalval Chain. This card was pretty much played at 1, but I don't think this card should have been banned. In my opinion, this card needs to go to 3, because it was such a good card. Not only did it let you get those next level combo pieces, with it being super generic for any deck, it also let you set up graveyards and all of that, and it was a really good card. But it weren't ruining the meta, it weren't basically guaranteeing you the duel, which is why most of these cards are banned. You know, it was such a good card, I don't see why it was banned. And I just kind of just got to contradict myself, it shouldn't have been banned, and that's the top and bottom of it, really. Maybe you guys disagree, maybe you guys disagree with the whole list, and you're thinking, Screech, do you even play this game anymore? You probably don't. Please go back in that hole you mentioned earlier, and don't leave it until you've read the rulebook, but hey, who knows? This is my ban list prediction right here, guys, and I'm pretty confident about most of them. Some of them are kind of just a hope. Monster Reborn's a real hope. Giant Drune was a hope, although I think it could actually happen. Things like Stratos coming back again, I kind of think are a hope that I don't think will happen. Lavalval Chain is about the only card in this entire ban list that actually affected me. I never used to use any of these cards, or any of these cards that I do use, I only really used at the number that they're at now. I only really use 2 Necrofaces, I only really use 2 Summoner Monks, I only really use one Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon anyway. Lavalval Chain was about the only card that I actually got hurt by when it was slapped on the ban list, but, well, other than the Performer Pals, but I didn't really use Performer Pals that much. I kind of just went with the hype and see what they were all about. But that's it for me, guys. This is my ban list prediction video that will be coming out. I'm not sure when the ban list is coming out. It should be somewhere around maybe the beginning of March, end of February. So hopefully we'll see how many I get right, and maybe I'll make a video in a few weeks saying I told you I was right, and screw the haters, guys. So yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. This is my ban list prediction video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you agree, make sure you tell me in the comments that you agree. If you disagree, make sure you tell me in the comments you disagree. And hopefully I will see you all one day on another video on my channel. And if I do, thank you for tuning in. Peace out, guys.